Video 3. In this video, we're going to use our Google Forms to help us create mailing lists for all of our students with their email addresses. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a form. Go to the Google Drive, create a form, and in this form, actually, once again, the purpose of this form is to collect students' email addresses. I want to get all of the email addresses from all of my students so I have an easy way of contacting them in the future. Now, in this, I'm going to want to know their last name. It's not a multiple choice, it's text, and it's required. Done. Under text, I want their first name. I want it required. I want to add another one. I want a text box that tells me their, maybe I have some students with the first and last name they're same. So let's get their middle initial. Required. And lastly, the whole purpose of this, I'll add a text. I want their email address. Or better yet, how about their AHS email address? I'm going to make that required as well. Okay, so the viewing of the live forms, this is what I'm creating for my students so I can collect their email addresses. Now, I could have them all write it down on a sheet of paper, but I'm about to show you a way to, with this method, to create a mailing list for each hour as well as for every one of your students in an extremely efficient manner. Okay, so now, if I'm accepting responses, no one submitted anything yet, I'm going to take a couple minutes and I'm going to pretend that several students fill this out. Okay? I've created some example student inserts. We can pretend that a few students came and they filled this out. They put their email addresses into it. We're going to view the responses. And as you can see, I have 4 examples here. These are imaginary students. They're not real. We can say, you know what? I need to create a mailing list of all of these students here. And this is going to be incredibly easy. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our email, our inbox, and next to Gmail, click Contacts, the drop-down menu. Choose Contacts. Now this is where you create, this is where you can store all of your contacts, either other people you want to email, or you can create lists of people that you can send email to via a contact list. So we're going to not just create a new contact, we're going to create a new group. Now you can do this not only for your students, you can do this for your department. Like I'm in the science department, so I can create a science department list. Now, in the science department list, if I wanted to, I could start adding the emails of all the individual teachers in that list. And in the future, if I want to send an email to all of them at once, I can just type in the name science department into my Google Mail, and it'll send it to everyone. But we're not creating one for the science department. We're creating one for, let's say this is first hours students. Okay, so there's our first hour students list. Let's go to it. Now, I could go back and into this bar right here, I could enter all of these email addresses. But it's so much easier just to select them all, right click, copy, contacts, paste as plain text. Hit add, and now all of those students that you've copied from there, all of them that filled out that form, you now have their email address in your contacts list. Now, why is that useful? Why is that useful? Why do I want to have emails of my students in a list? Well, here's another way for you to get information out to them. If I go back to, just remember, first hours students. I go back to my Gmail and I compose an email to first hour students. All of the names that we put into that contact list will now pop up in this 2 up here. So I can send a message to them all. I can say, here is your homework, and here is the things you should do. And I hit send, and that email goes out to all of those students. It's a great way to send them information.